Okay, guys. All right. So I'm going to look. So we finally have the CRM. Let me cover that with you briefly now. Um, and I'm going to show it to you. How we use this is, of course, going to evolve. So I don't want to this is the only way it'll ever be. No, it's going to be other ways. But how we use it for right now is really what I'm obviously trying to get us going on. So the CRM has lots of power and is growing even more power. And initially, all we're going to use it to do is to track where did the team form go. Oh, I see what's going on here. Okay, fine. I understand. So the public will have access to a form, a form that looks like, and by will, like they already do. I'm just moving into a different technology. So I'll just walk you through that. So the public websites see a form, and actually I'm going to do something while we're here so I do not forget to, because I've been forgetting it for a long time. And I know you don't see anything yet. I'm getting it clicked in. And we have a buyer version of this as well. And so we have a buyer version, we have a seller version. And we have a hey, somebody else is here. Yay. Okay, great. So the buyer version of the form looks like this. And this one I will take live now that I have it set up. I'm sorry, the seller version of the form. Wow. Okay, so the seller version of the form is right here. So this is what people see on their websites, on our website when they come to our websites. Now, from a legal standpoint, just so you guys understand, we are allowed to, the federal law, and this is stupid, we're allowed to go email, require email. We're not allowed to require a phone number. We have to ask these opt-in questions. We're not allowed to require them. So if they don't give us the right to contact them, but they filled out our form, we don't contact them a lot. We contact them once or twice. So when it gets filled out, your form, or if you're, so when it gets filled out, we'll go there. It comes in here as a new buyer lead opportunity. And this is when you'll be able to log into the system, because you'll be getting those logins by the end of the week. And you'll be able to get on the phone with them and ask them all these other questions, whatever else they didn't fill in. So this is where we run what we know about the client. When new buyer lead goes to contact an initial call, we simply drag it over there. When we collected all the information, buyer criteria collected, and so on and so forth. So this allows us to track a process through a seller or buyer through the thing. Now you'll see there's two pipelines here. There's a buyer pipeline. There's three. There's education pipeline, which you will never probably deal with. There's buyer pipeline and seller pipeline. Most of your time is going to be spent here on seller pipeline. So this is a huge thing, because what this means now is we get to track our conversation through here. You can put the Lead Connector HQ app on your phone and have access to this on your phone. We can set appointments within the calendars. We have contacts. These are the people who've contacted us. People who filled out our form, our team members, whoever. These are opportunities, which are basically our pipelines. So from this is everything that's going on. Payments. It will eventually track all the documents that come in. The contracts will be generated from here probably by the end of the year. The financials, who's owed what the payout should be, what your share will be, assuming it all comes through, will be in here. So for right now, I mostly just wanted to get people to understand how this works. That to make it easy, you have a form when you're just, which I'll give you all these links. You have a form that you can simply go to if you're on the phone with the seller. You don't have to log in or anything. You just have to go to this form and fill it in here. Again, you're not doing this live on the phone because it's a pain in the butt to try to have a reasonable conversation and fill out a form. But you can fill it in from the form. Sorry. So you can take, just to start over the process, you can log in if you want and work everything within the system on your phone or on your computer. Or you can go to this form when you're on the phone with the seller or when you're entering your seller contact information or your buyer contact information. And you can fill out all the questions. It doesn't matter which way you do it. You can fill out the form or you can go inside. It will end up here. It'll create a new opportunity in whichever pipeline we're dealing with. It will also create a contact for that seller. Ideally, if they've already worked with us before and this is their second time through, it'll ideally merge the two. But beware, we're not quite sure that's going to work. Like you might put in John Smith 123 Main Street, and then John Smith might sell 234 Main Street, and it might not realize it's the same John Smith. That's something we're going to work on fixing. But in any case, when you fill out the web forms, or anyone fills out the web forms, or your team form, it ends in here. And from here, you want to reach someone, they're in our contacts. You want to see where a project is at, or update a project that should be somewhere, go to the pipeline, click on the project. You want to make notes every time you communicate with someone. You want to make some notes that you actually, that something actually happened. You want to update the file for them. You want to add notes here. Add note. Spoke to client. Whatever. Everything we learn about a sale, a deal, a project, as much communication as can go through here, meaning use this platform for sending text messages and emails, is great. Copying, forwarding everything into here. If an email comes from a title company, they're never going to integrate with this. Copy that information in here. Make sure it appears. Anything substantive appears in here as a note. So we all have one place to look. And that's the whole point. We're not looking at, I texted you that, I spreadsheeted you that, I emailed you that. Do all that. That's wonderful. Get it to us those ways, but then also put it in here. Somebody get it in here. So it's not whatever. Because we also have too many communications where somebody will email something to Ryan and not to the rest of the team. So we want to use this to its fullest extent. There's lots more about this that we can do, and I'll cover in future episodes. But this is the initial thing. So I will get you guys your logins this week, and we can all start playing with it. And right now, the important thing is a buyer contacts you, you get them in here. Seller contacts you, you get them in here. A deal is happening, you get them in here. Something's going on in the transaction, you get them in here. And just for convenience, because we have so many deals halfway through, we're going to call December 1st like the drawing line. Anything that's closing before December 1st doesn't have to go in here. All right? Cool. So now the next thing I'm going to cover is what I hope is an email that Anthony sent me. Rosie HUD. I love that name. Okay, so Here is a settlement statement for private act. This is an actual deal we're actually about to close. All right, so this is a wholesale deal. What? Oh, sorry. Okay, this isn't this. Okay, so unfortunately, I was thinking of this as being a different deal. So I had different numbers in my head. So this is a standard MLS transaction. I thought this was a wholesale. Okay, so you mostly as the agent on this, or the wholesaler, but we'll go with agent. You're mostly scanning the information and making sure you can explain it to your client. So these forms come in all shapes and sizes. They look all different. Some are altas, some are HUDs, some are consummation statements, which I thought was an interesting name. And they are all showing the same information. Sometimes there will be a page for the seller, a whole separate document for the seller, and a whole separate document for the buyer. I like these. Here we go. Buyer side, seller side. Contract price of 90 grand. Settlement charges to buyer, and line by line, they lay it all out. We in this deal are representing the seller, so we're mostly focused on the right side. You glance at the left side, but it doesn't matter to you because it's not your client. So seller, this is their proration of the taxes. Adjustments made because they either owe taxes or they paid ahead on their taxes. So you'll see that this went from 90,000 to 93.59 because he's a little ahead on his taxes. Paid at the end of the year or what have you. Maybe it goes from 90,000 to less than that, because when you do the seller estimate of costs, you're showing them less because they owed some taxes. They didn't pay 25 or whatever. Settlement charges to seller 7,000 whatever. And so the seller is going to get 82,000. Now, what are those settlement charges? Those settlement charges are commissions. 2,700 to Gorilla, 2,700 to the other agency. Fine. Done. Those settlement charges are a little bit of deed prep and stuff. Those settlement charges are transfer tax and various other taxing items, totaling 7616. And we don't correct or we verify the proration of taxes sounds right, but we don't do that math. You say to your seller, if you don't think this is right, please let us know. We glance at it. Basically, does it look absurd in some way? Because the reality is in Luzerne County, there's 3 different taxes coming out on 3 different times of the year on 3 different calendar years. School, city, county. And they all prorate on the same 12 months, but they all prorate on different parts of the 12 months. And I tell all my clients, I ain't doing that. That's what their computer's for. But we're basically looking for, does everything look reasonable? Did they count a deposit as having come in? Did they forget to count a deposit that's having come in? Did they correctly do the commissions? So that's really all you're looking for. This one looks fine. There's nothing here that looks not fine. Anthony, I see you're out there. You got any questions?
I do not have any questions at the moment.
All right. Okay. Yeah, so this one's pretty good. So pretty much when you go over this with your seller, you're going to pretty much go through the same thing that I just did. You're just going to show him what it means. Oh. That's weird. So that's pretty much most of what I wanted to cover today. Now,
Okay.
a couple things that I want to recap for everybody. I see some new people signed up. So those of you in the chat, just send me your phone numbers and stuff. I want to make sure I connect because I see usernames in the chat I don't recognize, and I just want to make sure that I know who I'm talking to. Because we are looking for people to find us more deals. We're looking to teach you how to find more deals, both in residential, multifamily. So residential is units 1, 2, 3, and 4. Multifamily is 5 plus, and then commercial, self storage, mobile home parks, mixed use, whatever. We also are within a week or so will be qualified to make money off of debt service coverage ratio loans, i.e., finding people that want to borrow money for DSCR, which are rental loans, or for fix and flip loans, or for unsecured lines of business credit. We are business here. We're not helping your mom buy her house. And we also have a title company for Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, I think, and a few other states, where we can also make some money off the title side of things. We also have a data service and a call center that we can make money off of. So there's a lot, and also I have an education plan that you guys can make money off of. So I can show you how to make money off a lot of different angles of stuff. We also do run an education program here. And the last thing I wanted to let everybody know is that we are actively looking for more people to find more deals. Self-storage, mobile home parks, residential, multifamily. I think most of you know the spiel. If you don't, let me know, and I'll take you through it. Anthony, I know you're new to it, so if you've got time, I can take you through it a little bit. The short version of it is you sign our JV agreement. Anthony, obviously, you're already on the team, so that's easy. Nair, Shad, I see a few other people here.
Yep.
And then we will teach you everything. Really, we will show you how to. Your job is to get on the phone with a motivated seller of real estate. Whether that be cold calling, we can show you, we can give you scripts, whether that be direct mail, whether that be postcards, bandit signs, whatever. Your job primarily is to get through the I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to sell my property, hang up, expletive off, whatever. So that when you get a good one on the line, you dial me or Ryan in. We walk through the calls with the person. We find out what the deal is. We run them. You help us collect the information, and we make an offer to the seller, and we take it from there, or we list the seller. Either way, Anthony, just so you understand, Troop, the one we just showed, I possibly should have blacked the lines out, but the one we just showed, it started as a wholesale, and we could not wholesale the property. We did not find a buyer for it at wholesale.
Oh wow.
And so we flipped it to a residential. We flipped it to a regular listing, and then quickly found the buyer. The difference is what we were hoping to make on wholesale versus what we were hoping to make the seller more and make us more. By I guess not a similar house. So this is not this house should have sold for that, but a kind of similar house, a kind of similar deal came in almost the same time. That was the one I thought it was, the one on Shoemaker. We got it at 90 grand. We sold it for 100 grand. So there was a $10,000 spread all for us, nothing for anybody else. So, wholesale can bring in more money. It's a little more intricate in how things have to go, but very often it's quicker. Those of you who are not licensed out there, I see some names I don't recognize. I'm not sure who's out there. Those of you who are not licensed, you should be licensed. You should get licensed. While you're not licensed, there'll be a very limited amount of stuff you can do. We can still have you do some things. We can still pay you for some things. In the 1, 2, 3, and 4 unit space in Pennsylvania. Outside of Pennsylvania, most states, And outside of the 1, 2, 3, 4 unit, you don't have to be licensed at all. All right, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. And any questions, anybody?
No, none at the moment.
All right, cool. Then I will. We have another training tomorrow, which is on actual how to find deals in the residential and commercial space. And then we have another training on Thursday, which is about paperwork for agents. So that would be a good one to be at. Also, those of you who are in your licensing courses, and this may or may not still be true, but when I took mine, it was true that in the odd years, don't pull your license before January, because if you pull it in January, you're going to have to re-up it in May. All licensees have to re-up their license May 31st. That requires some continuing education, both for the Board of Realtors as well as for the licensing. And for you first-timers on the renewal, there's a special packet of continuing ed courses that you have to take as a first-timer. I can send that over to you. You can look it up on the state website. Also, you can go to any qualified continuing education shop like the ceshop.com. We'll just have the Pennsylvania first year whatever packet. You have to do a certain number of hours of continuing ed. That's for everybody. But as a first year renewal, they have specific things they want you to take. Larry Delgrado, who teaches out of Wilkes-Barre, is also a very good teacher on that, as is Dave Wychok, if you prefer to go live. Those guys are great. All right, I'll see everybody tomorrow. And anybody on the chat, please send me a message so I know who you are. Thanks. Bye-bye.